As we suspected, many of the conversations directed towards Arlington and the baseball practice that turned into a shootout yesterday. Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana shot in that melee, and of course, he's still dealing with his injuries in critical condition as we speak, or as we record, I should say. We also had a shooting in the UPS facility in San Francisco happening, and at the time reporting at least 6 dead in a massive London high-rise blaze that's turned into about 17 dead, and they suspect no more live survivors we found in that building. But we did have some happier conversations, some interesting conversations, and maybe some historic conversations. We'll talk about all the big conversations we had yesterday. This is a Daily Recap podcast for June 15th, 2017. And welcome to the podcast. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I am your host for This Conversation. I do the moderations of the conversations we have on our social media and at the website, thisisaconversation.com. Now, we like to think we're having the best conversations with you out there, and you are the best people to have conversations with. Regular people out there who have found us and are looking for ways to communicate on some of the biggest topics of the day. Now, the best way you can help us by doing this is, number one, just being plugged into what we're going on. In real time, we put the messages out on social media and our website. So follow us on Twitter, th_conversation. Follow us on Facebook, This is a Conversation, and follow us at thisistheconversation.com. And, of course, share us with a few friends who are like-minded into big-time conversations and news stories. We tried not to get bogged down by the long-standing breaking news, although yesterday was hard as everything here in the States focused a lot on Steve Scalise and what went down at the ballpark in Arlington. Also, we want to make sure you get a chance to get a little money in your check. We're going to pay you directly via your PayPal account by signing up for the Conversation Survey Panel. Go to the Conversation Survey Panel link. It's at thisisconversation.com/survey panel. Fill out a quick form, a quick little survey, and if we find a survey that you qualify for, something that you're interested in, we'll send you a link. If you fill it out, we'll pay you directly into your PayPal account. We can't get you rich, but we will make sure you know that your opinions are being heard by various companies and people who need your opinions. This is theconversation.com/survey panel to make that happen. Now let's go ahead and get into the stories for today. Obviously the most traffic story of the day from us, especially from a standpoint as we are here in the States, was the shooting by the gunman at the ballpark. And it was listed, at least we put it down as a public ballpark event. It was not a public baseball event, I should say. It wasn't a public baseball event. What happens is every year the Congress has 2 baseball games, or a baseball game and a softball game, for charity. They have the members of the House and Senate, because there's so many of them, play Republicans versus Democrats for a big charity baseball game. And then the women have a softball game where they have there's not as many women in Congress. So it's all the women in Congress essentially on one team versus a media team, a team of folks in the media, reporters and producers and whatnot. That will happen next week for the women's softball team. The men's softball game happens tonight at Washington National Stadium. And what was going on yesterday morning, the Republican team was doing some practice. They've been practicing for a few weeks, getting there around 6:30, practicing until about 7:45, 8 o'clock, and going on to deal with Congress work. Yesterday, they were attacked by a gunman, the gunman who was named as James T. Hodgkinson, who later on we found had some pretty wild ideas against the Republican side of the party. Although he has some pretty wild ideas against the Hillary side of the Democratic Party, a big-time Bernie Sanders supporter apparently, who may have worked on the campaign in some volunteer role. They couldn't find anything official in the Bernie Sanders campaign roster. Plus, Senator Sanders, of course, spoke out against this guy, saying that violence in any fashion is unnecessarily and intolerable in our society. The big thing that went down was, of all the people that were injured, 2 of them were police officers, or at least members of the Capitol Police Force, as part of Steve Scalise's security team. Because he is the minority whip, the third highest powerful person in the House, he always had security around. None of the other senators had any real security. It was an open ballpark at a YMCA in a residential neighborhood. The man came out and literally came out of nowhere and shot out of right field, if you will, with a high-powered rifle and a handgun. He was attacked or fought back by the forces that were brought by Steve Scalise and his detail, plus Arlington police were able to get on scene in about 3 minutes. 2 of the officers that were with the support staff were shot. 2 other staff members who were helping out the ballpark, including a former staff member who is now a lobbyist for Tyson Foods, who liked to stick around and play baseball as well. And, of course, Steve Scalise, the representative from Louisiana, who was shot and, of course, shot in the leg. And they thought at first it would not be as serious as it would be, but now he is in critical condition after his condition apparently has deteriorated over the night. President Trump tried to go and visit him last night, but he was not allowed to because he was in ICU. His family is nearby, and they're going to do their best for that. All our thoughts and prayers here, and many folks that work in the newsroom with me are talking about this one, hopefully that this is resolved quickly. The gunman, James T. Hodgkinson, was killed, was shot, taken to the hospital, later died of his injuries. We also had another really sad thing, a shooting with a suspect in custody following a shooting at the UPS facility in San Francisco. So we've had, in the past couple of weeks, at least 3 different workplace-related or former workplace-related shootings where some former person fired from a company goes back and goes on a shooting rampage. I believe 4 people were killed in this one, and, of course, the suspect put in custody to take this down. Hopefully we'll get more details on motives in this one fairly soon. And, of course, this is a story that kept growing. When we first put it out there early on, it was 6 dead in a massive London high-rise blaze. This morning, they're looking at 17 officially dead, around 75 injured, and they suspect that as they continue to go through what's left of the building in London, they suspect to find more dead bodies. They suspect they suspect more people did not escape the actual blaze, the actual fire, and they'll find more people as they go clearing out the actual ability. So once again, another day of tragedy for London, tragedy for just everyone. We have a lot of sad thoughts going in, and it's hard to get into sort of the good things when we have a lot of stories like that. So a lot of the other stories, some other really crappy stories, for lack of a better word. A freshman on the Kent State football team died during a workout practice the other day as well. Now, this is something that you're going to see a lot of these types of stories because right now the school is out, and a lot of the teams and a lot of sports for football specifically will have their summer practices, or some will be formal, some will be informal, to get the people logged in shape and ready to go for the football season, which will start fairly soon in August, to be honest. Of course, you'll hear stories about this on the high school level. You'll hear stories about this on the college level. And you may hear some stories about this on the professional level because it's a very, very big issue with hydration and people dying from the heat in these sorts of practices. Every year, there are a few deaths from these practices, and it gets very tragic as they go from the high school level all the way up to the pros. And so there's a lot of warning, a lot of different sort of messages going out there to make sure that if you're a regular person out there doing just weekend sports or doing extra work in the yard on a weekend, staying hydrated, staying relevant, making sure that you're okay, because this can happen to people who are in top physical condition with this. Our thoughts and prayers out to the family and the Kent State family itself and the family of the young man who lost his life in the practice. We also have 5 Michigan officials are going to face manslaughter charges in the Flint water crisis. Now, if you've been living under a rock, you may not know that Flint, Michigan has poisonous tap water. That's the only way to describe it. They have a water crisis that's been going on for many years, maybe almost a decade at this point, where the water is just, well, number one, you can't drink it, and number two, the safety to bathe and things in it is also sort of debated as well. Just so many just dealings with a decrepit system for getting water to folks. The infrastructure in that city, like a lot of places in Michigan, are not doing so well. Detroit, we talk a lot about all the jobs and all the infrastructure and just the fact that everyone's moved away from Detroit. Flint in a very similar situation. It was once a big industrial town and now not so big in this industry. And it has to deal with the fact that there's infrastructure problems of this mass scale. The fact that people just cannot drink the water, period, in Flint, Michigan. 5 officials from the city will now be facing manslaughter charges officially for letting things get so bad and not raising the alarm bells earlier in the issue. So let's get to some things that are a bit more lighthearted. This is a story that we dropped a couple days ago on Floyd Mayweather looking for an August 26th date to set up a fight with Conor McGregor. Officially signed. It's on the books. August 26th is done. Mayweather versus McGregor in a fight in Vegas. Both Mayweather's promotions team and Conor McGregor himself putting out plenty of Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and social media love, popping up the fight, which people have been looking forward to for quite some time. We'll see how well it lives up to it. So now we are officially 2 months and about 2 weeks or so off on the clock until this battle goes down. Floyd Mayweather, the retired 40-year-old boxer, and Conor McGregor, the still up-and-coming MMA fighter who basically will fight anybody, is going to prove whether Mayweather is the best pound-for-pound boxer in the land forever, because that's what they're calling him, a man who's, of course, known for not getting hit very much, versus Conor McGregor, who is a man who's got some power, got some grace, has lost some pretty significant fights in the last couple of years, but he always steps back into the ring and always goes back for a challenge and is never afraid to take a punch. We'll see how this plays out. The Southern Baptist Convention are set to vote on a movement to condemn the alt-right movement. Now, this is something that turned into a bit of a kerfuffle over the past couple of days. Before their convention began this week, a black pastor in the Southern Baptist Convention, yes, there are various people of various races in the Southern Baptist Convention, we just tend to joke about them not being there, wrote a proposition, put up a movement so that they would officially denounce the alt-right movement, essentially the people that are, pushing the hate stuff, the ultra-white stuff, the sort of clannish stuff that sort of fester and live in religious organizations. They wanted the national group to say, we're not down with this, and a black pastor from Texas led the way on this thing. It went to this first committee. It got shot down. The pastor tried to bring it up for a second batch of life so it can go to full committee, but apparently whatever was happening in the issue in the room, no one was really paying attention, and no one paid attention. No one was listening. No one tried to bring it back up. After social media got a hold of it and some chitter chatter back and forth, it was brought back up for another second motion to see whether it would go before the full body. Now, the big issue with this, of course, is there are various people and various members in this convention, in this religious group, that are dealing with this as a real problem in their congregations or in their communities. They're living in places where there's lots of racial tensions in the area, and the churches are trying their best to alleviate some of that pressure. But the problem comes if they use the church as a doctrine to spread their hate. It's kind of hard to say the church is down to be their power of love. And one of the real tenets of this is something called the curse of Ham. And if you're not a deep Bible scholar, or you're not from the South, and essentially because it's a big thing that's pushed around in the South, there's a passage in the Bible, there's a story, if you will, in the Bible that talks about Noah's Ark. Everyone knows about Noah getting the animals 2 by 2 and building the ark and saving the animals from the flood. Well, inside the story, while the flood is going on, while the water is not subsided, there is a passage where Noah apparently gets drunk on the ark and exposes himself. And one of his sons, named Ham, essentially goes off and tells all his brothers that Noah's drunk and he's acting a fool and he's drunk. Meanwhile, another brother goes and covers him up. Because of this, there's something called the curse of Ham, where Ham's descendants were essentially, when they were released off the boat, were supposedly set to have a rougher life, a harder life, a stressful life. This is supposedly where black people come from. We, since I'm African American, I'm black, we are descendants of Ham, and so all our descendants have dealt with all the issues we've had to deal with because Ham got a little foolish after Noah got a little foolish. If you believe this, you may be a little foolish, but many people believe this as gospel in that direct light. And so because people believe that story, they believe that black people are cursed, and they believe that white people are better because of it. That was one of the main things that they wanted to denounce in this movement. We'll see whether it gets passed. Now, two Trump things happening yesterday on the bad side. Of course, we talked about Trump going to visit Steve Scalise yesterday. Didn't quite get in because he was in intensive care. But a couple things happened. Number one, the Democrats in Congress had already put this in motion, so it was basically done and just announced yesterday. But the Democrats in Congress sued Donald Trump, citing conflicts of interest over his open business concerns. We already talked about the attorney generals of D.C. and Virginia doing the same thing, focusing mostly on the Trump D.C. hotel. This is essentially the same thing, piling on by Democrats in the Congress for the same issue. They're talking about special favors, possibly making and definitely making a profit over the hotel because he did not let go of his business relationships before becoming president. Meanwhile, the news dropped last night that a special counsel opened an investigation on President Donald Trump on possible obstruction of justice. That means Robert Mueller is now actually looking at Donald Trump to see whether he is obstructing justice. Not on the Russia probe itself, not that he necessarily did anything in Russia or the Russia problems, but the fact that he may have stymied the actual investigation to figure it out. He's not happy about that. He is tweeting about that profusely this morning. And, of course, Fox News, after launching in 1996 under the banner of Fair and Balanced, because it was a network that was fair and balanced and offered a different view of things. It wasn't quite a liberal view, a more conservative view, so they were fair and balanced, they said. Since 1996, is set to drop that slogan. Reports have that slogan going to be phased out over the next couple of months into somewhere around 2018, where it'll be free and gone. Nothing in the report on what's going to replace it, other than the fact that fair and balanced, because, slogans go, slogans come, slogans go, they go away. And so since this one's been out there since 96, this is literally a 20-year slogan for the network. We'll see where exactly they go with this. They will still stick with their conservative slant. They'll still stick on sort of the Republican playhouse sort of thing, but they won't use the fair and balanced tag anymore somewhere near the next year. And the first message of the day comes out of Australia, where Rebel Wilson, the comedian actress, wins a defamation suit against a paper there. The paper there, the media company there, essentially used a couple of interviews to paint Rebel Wilson as a flat-out liar. And Rebel Wilson wasn't all that keen about that, sued, and she wins. So she'll get some money, she'll get a couple of apologies, and we'll see how that works out for Will. If you're a Rebel Wilson fan, you may enjoy that. Apparently there's a Pitch Perfect 3 on the way, so more singing Rebel Wilson and other things coming in the future. And those are the conversations that we covered for the day, all day yesterday. A lot of them focusing on Representative Steve Scalise and the attack in Arlington at the baseball field. But we did get some other things, some very diverse things, and, of course, some really cool things. Mayweather-McGregor, that's going to be pretty cool. Now, in order to stay in touch with the conversations and help us know which ones are the best, of course, tomorrow on Friday, we're going to record our weekend wrap-up. We'll talk about the 10 best stories and what didn't make that top 10 list for the past 7 days, a full week. Make sure you just respond to it on social media. Just when you see it in Twitter, like it, retweet it, reply to it, tell us what you like about it, engage with the actual content. And on Twitter, it's th_conversation. Do the same thing with Facebook. Go to This Is the Conversation and respond, reply, tweet, or like, share on Facebook as well. You can go to the website and just leave comments there for the stories as they're on the static on the website at thisistheconversation.com. And while you're at the website, stop by and check out some of our sponsors. The sponsors help us keep things going, keep the lights on. As cliche as that is, they pay the bills. And so while we're doing our best to keep up the great conversations and have the great venue for you to have conversations, we need your help to help out the guys helping us out. We're so glad about our very interesting and very awesome sponsors, and hopefully you can help them out and they'll help you out in the process. This is where I say thank you a few times, and I just said that. So thank you so much for being a part of all the conversations all day, every day, listening to the podcast, being a part of the forums, being a part of the actual community. Now, to find out other projects I have going on, other podcasts, other writings, other things, you can go to my main website, jclevelandpayne.net. Of course, subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on another episode, and share the podcast or share links with your friends so they can get in on the conversation as well. And, of course, tune in for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. We will record another daily wrap-up for this Thursday. We'll start recording the weekend wrap-up for the weekend and, of course, prepare for just a day of great conversations with you from This Conversation.